Every successful business is built on the premise of solving problems. In sub-Saharan Africa, during the COVID pandemic, we are living at a time of unprecedented business opportunity. Why? Because we have no shortage of problems that need solving. The prospects for solution-providing businesses have never looked so bright. Africa-based businesses can provide irresistible value for investors and take advantage of the exciting opportunities that exist, especially with the growth of young urban consumer markets across our region. But there's one issue that is holding us back, one problem which we can easily resolve if we get our house in order. My name is Dr. Modupe Taylor-Pearce, and I specialize in coaching and training business leaders. And I'm here to share with you how you can lead your company into exponential growth as the world emerges from the coronavirus crisis. Breakfast Club Africa is a Pan-African CEO membership organization formed with a singular purpose of igniting the growth of African companies through the provision of amazing learning experiences for company leaders. We have supported the growth of over 100 CEOs from 11 different countries, attending learning events, including our flagship Made in Africa Leadership Conference. Breakfast Club Africa is designed for leaders who are intentional about growing their companies and improving themselves as leaders. Strong corporate governance is at the heart of what we do. So what drives us at BCA to make these efforts? Earlier, I spoke with Adrian Carr, BCA member and investor in various African companies. Adrian, why is corporate governance important to you?
It's a good question, Modupe. When I'm looking, like many investors, when I'm looking to invest in a company, there are three main things I look for. I look for a strong team, a good business plan, but more importantly, very good corporate governance as well. And by that, what I mean is, does this company report in a fair and transparent manner on its performance, on its financials, and its relationship with its stakeholders as well? That's key because that demonstrates trust. It demonstrates trust with its customers, with its clients, and with its shareholders. And that is exactly the kind of business that we're looking to invest in. In fact, I would say that even if a company had a really compelling business plan and a strong team, well, without this strong corporate governance to go alongside it, it's probably not an investable opportunity.
As we learned at the Made in Africa Leadership Conference in Kigali last year, Rwanda demonstrated outstanding improvements in governance in the mid-2000s, rising from 143 to 67 in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business Index and attracting over $100 million of funding over that period. This was invested to achieve a doubling of GDP from 3.7 billion to 7 billion between 2007 and 2012. And it works at the corporate level as well. A recent African private equity survey showed that of the $25 billion of private equity money invested in Africa between 2012 and 2017, 100% of investors agreed that corporate governance was either important or very important to them. One prominent example of a company that has enjoyed great success is EcoBank. With operations in 36 African countries, EcoBank sees corporate governance as a key driver of stakeholder value. Earlier, I spoke with Samuel Ayim, who served as corporate secretary for 10 years, and asked him about his governance experience and leadership. Sam, in your experience at EcoBank, what did good corporate governance look like?
Thank you, Modupe. One of the keys to EcoBank's success was people and process. EcoBank made sure that corporate governance was well understood by our people, and we followed best practices, including those outlined by both the Basel Committee and the International Finance Corporation.
What advice would you give to other large organizations in our region?
My advice would be make sure that your board and management are robust and diverse. But more important, ensure that the values of fairness, compliance, transparency, accountability, and responsibility are shared, owned, and practiced throughout the organization.
Thank you very much, Samuel. To discuss the efforts underway to improve corporate governance in Africa, I'm joined by some colleagues who have practical experience in the subject. Catherine Engman from CIDAR, Celeste Vogel from Swiss Re, and Michael Barry of Citibank. Catherine, let me start with you. What are the best practices that you are seeing in corporate governance in Africa today?
Thank you, Modupe. So what I'm seeing in Africa is really about skilled boards, skilled directors, and really good governance is very much driven by having the right people with the right skills on the board. So really it's about training and character. And so training in the sense that the directors need a good understanding of corporate governance principles, but also they need the character to be able to apply those principles. Because, for example, a key principle of good governance is independence. A valuable non-executive director will have the training combined with the strength of character to be able to challenge management, ask them probing questions, and also hold executives accountable.
Thank you. Now, Celeste, you work for a multinational finance organization and you clearly understand the importance of corporate governance. What are the challenges involved in implementing it in Africa today?
Thanks, Modupe. Corporate governance, as we know, like all governance, does not exist in a vacuum. In Africa, you've got a dichotomy between the public sector and the private sector, right? The private sector being overwhelmingly informal. So one of the big challenges for Africa is, first of all, to have an ecosystem that inspires confidence and trust. So that means the regulated sector, the public sector, would have to demonstrate that it is itself able to comply and implement good corporate governance rules, right? And then that would create the type of environment that is adequate for others to follow good governance, including the informal sector.
So Celeste, say I'm an African entrepreneur and I want to implement corporate governance in my company. Who can guide me through the process?
We have people already in Africa who are on boards. We have people like yourself who have set up organizations. In addition to these role models and people from other countries, from the diaspora, who can actually play a role by being on boards, you have the ability today through technology to actually access good governance principles through technology.
Michael, you're a member of the diaspora. Can you give us an example from your experience?
Thanks, Modupe. A friend of mine moved to Sierra Leone in Q4 last year to set up an IT services company. And what I could do for him was provide him feedback on his business plan and gave him some pointers so that he can start thinking ahead about what corporate governance controls he needs to basically put in place. Now, I was in a position to be able to do this because I am independent from his business. And a key element of providing such advice is to make sure you ask the difficult questions, which you can do as an independent.
What are some of the challenges that you have faced in trying to be a non-executive director for a business in Africa?
Technology has helped to a very large extent in terms of bridging the gap. And if you take all of that and you really good, strong governance principles, what you have is that these early stage companies would actually future-proof and position themselves to capitalize on that success.
And now I'm joined in Freetown by Mohammed. Mohammed, tell me about your business and how has Michael's experience helped you?
Our business, JuneComs, aims to provide training and consultancies in businesses here in Freetown and the country as a whole. Michael, as a Sierra Leonean, understands the challenges in setting up businesses. So he comes in with a global perspective to the business in here. As a result, that would give us a massive potential in attracting investors.
Corporate governance is not a luxury limited to large multinational corporations. It is a necessity for any company, regardless of its current size, that has aspirations of exponential growth. If you want to attract investment capital to grow your company, establish corporate governance in your business. You can learn more about corporate governance at the Made in Africa Leadership Conference. Together, we can make Africa a great continent with great companies and great jobs for Africans. If you are interested in learning more about corporate governance, or, like Michael, in becoming a non-executive director, please visit the Breakfast Club Africa website at www.breakfastclubafrica.com/governance for more information.